join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right. Who's coming up to introduce our guest? Looks like it's Wendy.
Good morning. We have two guests this morning. We have Michael Stoner. And we have Heather Farrell, who is our speaker this morning. If you could stand and remain standing until we greet you. Thank you.
All right, let's give them a warm Rotary welcome. All right, Wendy, you break back with 50-50.
Okay, that's 3, 9, 2, 1.
There you go, Paul. All right. Happy dollars. Anybody happy this morning? All right. Doesn't look like anybody's happy. That's all right too. All right. So let's move on. Today is Bad Joke Tuesday, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad. So a duck walks into a bar and asks the bartender, "Do you have any duck food here?" The bartender says no, and the duck leaves. The next day, what same thing happens? The duck wanders in and asks, "Do you have any duck food?" Once again, the nonplussed bartender says no, and the duck leaves. On the third day, the duck enters the bar, and the bartender asks the bartender, and the bartender asks and messes up, "What do you want this time?" The duck says once more, "Do you have any duck food?" "No," yells the bartender, "we don't have any duck food. If you come back and ask me again, I'll nail your feet to the floor." The duck leaves, comes back the next day and asks, "Do you have any nails?" The bartender says no. Then the duck asks, "Do you have any duck food?" All right, it's happy birthday time. Diane Yocum has birthday today. Dan Hoff celebrates on the 16th of the month. Jim Arvin and Maury Hooper share a birthday on the 30th. And it's actually going to be my birthday this month on the 19th. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to turn 70. And yes, I said 70. All right, anniversary greetings go to Chris Izzo for 29 years. Paul Lutz for 29 years, and Jeff Snyder for 3 years. Congratulations all. This tree planting is scheduled for this Saturday. We do have 9 trees planted. Thank you for those who have volunteered, because I think we're in pretty good shape for that. And membership drive, it's time to get a head count. So please extend a personal invitation to the people that you think would enjoy learning more about our club. That's the best and most effective way to invite somebody and to introduce them to Rotary. We do have a speaker secured. I think he's going to be pretty good. So looking forward to seeing everybody. If you want, you can acknowledge who is coming on the Google Doc. You can also send me an email and I'll take care of the head count part. So, member survey is out, I think. I'm having a little bit of beginner issues with SurveyMonkey. So has anybody replied to the SurveyMonkey? Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to follow up so that I can make sure I know what I'm doing. The email did go out about a week ago. Go ahead and look for it. It will probably go out again to do the online version. I'm going to try and get it started that way to kind of work the bugs out a little bit. So if you can help out, that would be great. We had our off-committee meeting, and I think we're rolling along real well. We have our beverage sponsor, we have our breakfast sponsor. Thank you to all of those. Committee members were given lists of previous sponsor lists. If you have those, I'll need those back, because I'm looking for some updates. Some of the sponsor lists are a little bit old, so things change. So if you're a committee member and you have a list of sponsors from previous years, please make sure I get those back for our next meeting, which is actually next Tuesday. And Hearst Bingo, I'm making a kind of like a public service announcement for Rotary. North York is holding their Hearst Bingo on Sunday, April the 26th. The bingo starts at 2. It's down at a Lions Fire and Rescue in Red Lion. I have the flyer which has contact information if you want to purchase a ticket. I also have a QR code. North York has always supported our Pints for Polio, so it would be nice to be able to return the favor. So I know there's a few of us, myself, Elizabeth, I think Diana's going to go too. So it's Connie said she's going to go. Anybody else want to attend? You're welcome to join both 4 of us. So, all right. I think that's it. I think we're ready for our speaker. They're afraid. You guys go away. All right. Heather has worked for the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, the Office of Victim Services, since 2018, after working over 20 years locally in criminal justice. And just a side note, Heather and I met 20-some years ago when we were working as adult probation officers for the County of York. So we both were starting our careers then and have thankfully progressed. In her role as criminal justice system specialist supervisor, Heather leads her team in coordinating the administration of the Federal Victims of Crime Act grant program designed to assist victims of crime to cope with the physical, emotional, and criminal justice issues associated with crime. Heather's work also involves the coordination and administration of 2 state-run grant programs, the Rights and Services Act program and the Victims of Juvenile Offenders program. These programs are designed to provide information on and access to criminal justice and juvenile justice processes consistent with Pennsylvania's Victims' Bill of Rights, the Juvenile Act, Pennsylvania Rules of Juvenile Court Procedure, and other related programs administered by the Victims Services Programs of PCCD. Heather sits on the Services and Standards Subcommittee of the Victim Services Advisory Committee, the Victim Witness Training Subcommittee, and the Crime Victims Alliance of Pennsylvania. Through her work, Heather brings to light the many issues crime victims face in their journey toward restoration, healing, and empowerment. She helps identify best practices for trauma-informed services, opportunities for cross-system collaboration and training, and promotion and access of victim services across all Pennsylvania communities, to include the Victims Compensation Assistance Program. Heather, her husband, Harold, and fur babies live in York Township and are proud to call the Dallastown Red Lion area home. Let's give Heather a warm Rotary welcome.
Yeah, maybe I'll just clip it here. I feel like one of those news reporters, that hold the little soundbite there. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about my work. It's great to be with you all this morning, and thank you for the warm welcome. I was able to meet many of you as we were sitting down for breakfast. I want to extend a warm welcome to all Rotary members. I understand that we have some folks on Zoom with us. And I want to extend a special thank you to my friend Karen Connery for the invitation. So I work for the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. We are a state agency, and specifically we are an executive office of the governor, located at 3101 North Front Street in Harrisburg. If you're not real familiar with the city of Harrisburg, we're located in Uptown Harrisburg, just inside of the city limits, about 1 mile south of Interstate 81. Our mission statement is to promote a collaborative approach to enhance the quality of justice through guidance, leadership, and resources. We do this by empowering citizens and communities and by influencing state policy. So this morning, in the time that I have, we'll talk a little bit about the structure and function of PCCD, and then specifically about the work of the Office of Victim Services, the office that I work in. At PCCD, we strive to advance the justice system here in Pennsylvania through collaboration, victim support, and promotion of safer schools and communities through planning, training, and financial assistance. PCCD was established by law in 1978 and serves as the justice planning and policymaking agency for the Commonwealth. Our commission is comprised of various leaders and subject matter experts across the state. We have Senate and House representatives, PA Attorney General's Office, county commissioners, municipal and city leaders, judges, district attorneys, public defenders, law enforcement, health and human services, policy specialists, and others. Each member is appointed by the governor and has a fixed term for their appointment. Our commission chairman is Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, also appointed to the board by the governor. And to better inform the commission in its work, PCCD has 7 advisory committees, the School Safety and Security Committee, and 3 training boards. Many of the committees and boards are established by statute. I'll just mention that one of our newer initiatives is the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which was first established in 2019 by former Governor Tom Wolf and reestablished by Governor Shapiro in 2024. This office brings together state agencies for a comprehensive, coordinated strategy to reduce gun deaths, to reduce injuries that occur by firearms, and to improve existing state programs and to implement new violence prevention initiatives. Turning to the Office of Victim Services, this is the office that I work in. We call ourselves OVS. OVS was also developed by statute, specifically by the Pennsylvania Crime Victims Act of 1998. OVS is split into 2 departments, which is the Victim Services Program. That's the program I work in. So we do a lot of grant making at my department. And then our second department is the Victims Compensation Assistance Program, which is direct service to crime victims. So the Victim Services Program provides federal and state funding to government and nonprofit organizations to serve crime victims with essential services at no cost. The Victims Compensation Assistance Program, commonly known as VCAP, helps victims and their families through the emotional and physical aftermath of a crime by easing the financial burden that's placed on them. I'll give you some highlights about the VCAP program, and if you take anything away today, this is what I would ask you to hold on to. If you have a friend, a neighbor, or a loved one who's ever a victim of a crime, please know that they have crime victims' rights, and they may be eligible for compensation assistance if they so need it. So VCAP can help pay for counseling services, forensic rape exams, funeral expenses, crime scene cleanup, medical expenses, loss of earnings, and stolen cash claims. VCAP does not cover pain and suffering or property loss unless the property is deemed medically necessary. So if you had someone in a wheelchair who becomes a victim of a crime, and in the commission of that crime, the wheelchair is destroyed, broken, what have you, VCAP could step in and assist that person with securing a new wheelchair at no cost to them. I want to stress that tax dollars are not used to fund the VCAP program. VCAP is funded by fines and penalties assessed against convicted individuals by restitution, subrogation, insurance companies, donation, and federal reimbursement. The maximum payout is $35,000. So I mentioned that VCAP is funded largely by fines and penalties. We're not going to do a poll because I understand this meeting is being recorded. But if you've ever had a speeding ticket or some little scrape with the law, and you went to the magistrate and pled guilty to that, you have contributed to the VCAP fund for the state of Pennsylvania. I see somebody shaking their head. Does that mean you were involved? Okay. Awesome. You can answer that. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so in Pennsylvania, it's a minimum if you have a speeding ticket, a DUI, a burglary, theft, whatever it is, one up to homicide, if you're convicted of that, you're gonna pay a minimum of $60. And I think here in York County, the president judge has it set, I believe it's at least $100 now that defendants are paying. To be eligible for assistance, the crime must have occurred in Pennsylvania. The crime must be reported to the proper authorities, and that might include somebody who has a PFA, a protection from abuse order against them, and it must be filed in accordance with timelines that are outlined in statute. I want to stress the offender does not have to be in custody, nor must there be a conviction in place for the victim to be eligible for benefits. And claims can be filed by the crime victim themselves on paper through our app, or they can seek the help and assistance of a victim advocate in their local community. Okay, now to my program. The Victim Services Program helps crime victims transcend their trauma by funding victim service agencies that work directly with victims and through collaboration with criminal justice persons and allied professionals who advocate and respond to the needs of victims. We have 4 major funding streams that we work with in my office. I think Karen gave a very brief introduction of them a minute or 2 ago. 2 of them are federal funding streams, 2 of them are state-run grant programs. Our federal funding streams are the Victims of Crime Act and the VAWA, Stop Violence Against Women. Our 2 state-run programs then are the Rights and Services Act. Again, that helps fund VCAP, and our grant program in the state, and then Victims of Juvenile Offenders. The Rights and Services Act program is also funded by fees imposed on convicted defendants. So again, it's not taxpayer money that's being used. But whereas the Victims of Juvenile Offenders grant program does come from a state appropriation. So it is a line item in each budget annually, and that figure comes to about $1.3 million to serve all 67 counties. If you are a crime victim and that youthful offender is going to the juvenile court system. We give grant funding to all 67 counties. I thought it might be useful for you to know some of the local programs that receive our funding. So that's the York County Commissioner's District Attorney's Office for Victim Witness Services, the York YWCA, the Hanover YWCA State Home Program, York County Children's Advocacy Center, the Pennsylvania Immigration Resource Center, and Turning Point Women's Counseling and Advocacy Center. A large part of our work then is to develop and release grant funding through funding announcements, to screen the incoming applications, and to prepare summaries and recommendations for our Victim Services Advisory Committee and ultimately the VCCD Commission, who must vote on the recommended applications. Once grant applications are awarded, a large part of our work shifts to compliance and monitoring of individual projects. Our office has a responsibility to ensure the programmatic and fiscal integrity of all of our sub-grantees and to help victim service programs meet specific requirements outlined in our funding announcement or outlined by the funding, the federal or state requirement. A few activities that we perform in support of grant compliance would be quarterly and fiscal program reports. So at the end of each quarter, all of our grantees, and in my program under VOCA, under the federal, we have about 156 programs. And then under our RASA and BOJO, those 2 state-run grant programs, we have about 99 grantees. So at the end of each quarter, they submit their program report. I want to note for you all that all invoicing that is done on our grant projects represent after the fact time and effort of staff's work and of the expenditures related to the project. So at PCCD, all grants operate on a reimbursement basis. We're never just awarding a grant and writing somebody a check for 100,000 or more. It's all on reimbursement. We also do data backup requests once quarterly program and fiscal reports are completed and approved. And that just basically means proving that a victim service agency has to prove the clients that they work with for that quarter. So in our agency, we ask, as a part of our data keeping, we ask project directors to keep a record of all the victimizations that they work with. And I think there's something like about 20 different ones that you can classify a crime victim into. So if they said they worked, if YWCA York said they worked with 50 domestic violence victims that quarter, we're going to ask them to send supporting documentation without giving us the person's name because we want to try to honor confidentiality. But they have to turn in that documentation to our office to basically prove, yes, we worked with this person and said that we did the services that it said that we do. And then finally, for compliance, each sub-grantee with PCCD carries a risk level rating, and depending on the agency's risk level, a virtual or on-site monitoring will occur once every 2, 3, or 4 years. Every grant award that we make in the Office of Victim Services has a monitoring. The purpose of these monitoring are to review the project goals and objectives, the deliverables of the project, how service provision is going, and to ensure that there are proper administrative policies and procedures in place to meet the goals of the project. We also provide technical assistance to ensure that the project is on track and can be successful as it moves forward. In the time that I have remaining, I'll just mention a few of our technology and training projects that we also work on outside of grant making and grant monitoring. We have what's called the Efforts to Outcomes system, which is where victim service providers can put all of their victim data and then report it to us. So essentially, it's a data and reporting case management system. This is available to everyone who receives our funding at the Office of Victim Services, unless you are a Stop Violence Against Women grantee. They have separate categories and separate data for the things they need to keep track of. Our victims, we also have them complete a victim satisfaction survey. We want to know that the services they're receiving in their local communities are impactful and making a difference for themselves and for their family. And so this survey is available in a number of platforms, including electronically. And the survey is for all crime victims that are served age 14 and up, and adults who are working with a local victim service provider. We're also developing a similar survey for crime victims who are going through state court processes, either juvenile court or criminal court, and who fall under our state grant programs. We have the DAVE system, which is an electronic filing system for the VCAP program that I mentioned, and DAVE stands for Dependable Access for Victimization Expenses. 2 more to go. We have the Crime Victims app, which is a valuable tool for tracking compensation claims, for learning about your right as a crime victim, and for available services, and also how to contact PCCD. And then finally, we have our PA-7 program. PA-7 stands for Pennsylvania Statewide Automated Victim Information and Notification System. This is a free service that provides round-the-clock access to the custody and status information of incarcerated offenders in county jail, state prisons, or under state parole in the Commonwealth. The PA-7 program provides automated telephone, email, and/or text messaging to notify the victim in any change in that inmate's status, to include transfer to another jail, release, escape, and more. So it's really the best way. If your victim is incarcerated and they have parole coming up, it's really the best way for a victim to be notified that, hey, yes, that person has hit the street. With regard to our training efforts, we offer a foundational academy, which is a 40-hour curriculum for new victim service professionals to assist with their roles, to learn about their job and their responsibilities, and help them meet our consolidated victim standards. We offer topical trainings both in person and online. We do about 4 or 5 topical trainings each year. We did one in March. It was called Comfort and How to Provide It, which really just talked about, all the things that we have to do every day in our careers. It's important when you're working with crime victims to just stop, be compassionate, think about all the little things that are running through their head and how you can just make them more comfortable with what they're going through. We have a online training platform, which is called the Pennsylvania Victim Service Training Module. This is supported by PCCD, and again, is for victim service professionals whose work brings them into contact with crime victim populations. So we have courses on victims' rights, legal standing, understanding the VCAP program. We currently have about 40 courses online that people can view at no cost. And then we also have advanced training for executive and manager level positions at victim service organizations to help them with issues with their board and to help them build organizational capacity. We have the Pennsylvania Virtual Training Network, which is a website which houses training for municipal police officers, education and training committee. This helps police officers investigate crimes such as human trafficking, sexual assault, stalking, strangulation, protection from abuse, and responding to a domestic violence call. And then finally, we have a series of webinars on WebEx for our VCAP program where folks can learn more. In closing, I'll just offer you a few more things that our office does. And these are some of the bigger events that we do every 2 years. So we host a Pathways Conference. Again, it's biannually. 2026 is the off year. Last year, we held our Pathways Conference at the Kalahari Resorts. And again, this is designed for victim service professionals to get their training hours in, to enhance their skills, and to network with folks from across the state. There's 3 days of workshops, there's keynote speakers, and of course, plenty of networking opportunities. And if you've ever been to Kalahari, it's a lot of fun up there. And we went in the fall, so of course, it's really pretty up there as well. In conjunction with the Pathways Conference, we also offer the Governor's Victim Service Pathfinder Awards, and these are awards to show the outstanding efforts made by advocates and allied professionals across the state. And then finally, we offer a newsletter to subscribers. We release that newsletter on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month. It contains tons of information about victim service issues, about trainings. If you have job openings at your agency, we'll post your job openings for free. And then also upcoming training and just general information of victim services across the state. And so with that, Karen, we take questions? Go ahead.
One of the best ways of our providers is teaching them that they in their third and they got a place. So I wish somebody would get it. And then my question was 6 years ago when I moved here, I was told that not a lot of people were applying for VCAP, that you guys had money, and it was just sitting there where America graduating from. There's the big backlog that it actually was before it didn't down because there's not enough. Is that better for more people aware? Or
Yeah, so good question, and thank you for your work, and, thank you for raising your hand if you wanna, give a shout out to your agency. Okay, everybody knows, okay, can I? Oh, awesome, okay, great. Well, then you certainly know about our grant funding and all of the great services that your YWCA does, and thank you for your work in victim services. The answer to your question is yes. So part of our strategic plan that we have through our Victim Services Advisory Committee that runs from 2025 to 2028 is to increase accessibility of the VCAP program. We have a bunch of new brochures, posters. I'm happy to connect with you, sometime outside of here to make sure that you get them. You could certainly use them in your Neighbors Helping Neighbors program. Or if you still have connections with YWCA York. But yes, that's part of why we have the Crime Victims Act. And then also, if people just want to file their claims online, they can do so as well. But we've tried to become, high tech, recognizing that many people are just using their phones and can do their application right there. We don't have a review board or anything like that. Our claims do go through a serious review process before they're paid out. But, if you qualify and you've met all of the timelines with your application, there will be a reimbursement. Yes, sir.
This is a statewide program, right?
It is, yes. So I mentioned under VCAP, the maximum payout is $35,000. And our deputy director, Stacy, just did statistics. You might think that funeral expenses would be the biggest payout across the state. They used to be. But again, thanks to our Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the number of homicides is lowering across the state. The actual largest payout is for forensic rape exams of sexual assault victims and the counseling, the sexual assault counseling that they can receive across the state. Kind of sad, but yeah. So I don't work in VCAP, so I couldn't comment on that. But our VOCA federal funding stream, I mentioned we have about 156 grantees across the state. That includes the ones that I mentioned, the 5 or 6 I mentioned locally. It's about $50 million a year to support that. And then for our folks under the 2 state-run programs, it's about $11 million a year. Yes, sir.
When a criminal is sentenced and part of the sentencing usually required to reimburse the victim, what kind of follow-up is there for that payment or reimbursement to the victim? Does it realistically expect that a criminal does in fact do the reimbursement work on all?
Well, yeah, if they, I just mentioned, so if someone was granted VCAP and then restitution is ordered in the case, remember I said conviction doesn't have to be in place to get VCAP. So that victim has an obligation to notify VCAP that they are getting restitution. But yes, I mean, here in York County, Karen and I, work with the probation department for a number of years. And each offender that came through the door needed to set a payment plan for payment of restitution. And I forget, Karen, was it 50% of every payment made went to restitution?
You know, before maybe somebody 10 years, 20 years, fail. And they didn't know it, and still remember not paying with them, even after they're going to.
Yeah, and a lot of counties and programs have enforcement efforts to make sure offenders are paying regularly. It's part of being held accountable. Okay, awesome. Again, thank you for the opportunity. It's great to meet everybody. So, happy birthday in advance. Just connecting myself here. All right.
Well, to thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. I don't think anybody fell asleep, so you did a good job. We will have you choose a children's book that will be donated either to the Children's Library at YWCA or the Children's Aid Society. So, all right.
Long time ago, I worked at the Children's Aid
Did
Society.
it really? Yeah.
I worked in their crisis nursery.
Yeah, excellent. All right, let's get a picture.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, yeah. All right, everybody, so let's get adjourned and let you go be on with your day. Thank you very much.